Hi, this is James from OEC, formerly known as OKEx chain, and you are listening to OKEx. OKEx is a podcast where we talk about blockchain, crypto, DeFi, GameFi, technology, markets and people, and everything else related to them. A quick reminder for everyone. OEC is a public permissionless blockchain that no one fully controls. Anyone can create projects and use applications from anywhere in the world. OKEx can neither control nor endorse any projects on OEC. OKEx is produced for education purposes only, and this podcast is produced and distributed by OEC. Hey guys, welcome to another episode of OKEx by OEC podcast. Today we have a special guest, Philip, the founder of Cryptoblades GameFi. But first, as usual, we have news update. OEC news update. 138 projects in total have launched on OEC. New projects launched last week are Crust, Metaverse, Anybet Wallet, Symbiosis Finance, and Adventure King. Crust Network is essentially an IPFS incentive layer protocol and a substrate-based blockchain that builds a decentralized storage network of Web3 ecosystem. Matecoin is an exciting new NFT game that's a unique combination of DeFi and art. Anybet is a decentralized wallet that supports multiple public chains, supports the creation of multiple accounts, and the asset management can be stored in different accounts according to the needs. Symbiosis is a multi-chain liquidity enabler that aggregates decentralized exchange liquidity. And Adventure King is an NFT PvE game based on OEC. To celebrate Christmas and New Year's, OEC has started Christmas gaming tournament in partnership with Samurai GameFi, Blade Game, Celt, Cherry Swap, JSwap Finance, and Island Swap. The total amount of prize pool is $10,000, so get on your devices and start playing now. You'll be earning while having fun, plus you could be the lucky winner of the gaming tournament. The Reuters agency reported on December 16th that the Russian central bank is now in talks with experts and market players about a possible total ban on all cryptocurrencies. If lawmakers in the country approve the ban, all new purchases of crypto assets would be illegal. The complete rejection of the crypto assets would mean that Russians, who made over $5 billion in annual transaction volume in 2020, would have no access to buying or selling crypto assets, just like the Chinese people. Central Bank First Deputy Governor Ksenia Yudaeva said that cryptocurrencies' increasing popularity raised concerns about risks to financial stability. She also pointed to China's experience and said a crackdown might be needed to counter the risks of cryptocurrencies to the efficiency of monetary policies. It is worth to note, however, is that on December 15th, just one day before the news about Russia banning cryptocurrencies broke, the president of Russia and China had a virtual meeting. They discussed a variety of topics such as COVID-19, politics, economics, Winter Olympics in Beijing, foreign affairs, and more. Now pay attention to that more because maybe, just maybe, they had a discussion about cryptocurrencies as well? Maybe President Putin asked some tips on banning cryptos? Who knows? But the thing is, we'll have to wait and see until the first quarter of the next year to get a clear idea about where Russia stands in terms of cryptos. Let's just hope the news will be positive. The Cointelegraph predicts that NFT sales could eclipse $17.7 billion by the end of 2021. Indeed, global searches for the term NFT surpassed crypto according to Google Trends. This indicates that NFTs are now becoming mainstream. As we reported in our previous episodes, such companies as Nike and Adidas are joining the Metaverse. On December 14th, Nike announced its acquisition of RTFKT, a virtual sneakers and collectibles brand. And on December 17th, in collaboration with Bored Ape Yacht Club, Punks Comic, and G-Money, Adidas Originals co-created one digital asset and put up 30,000 copies of it for sale. New highly anticipated NFT projects such as Psychedelic Anonymous and NFT MTG Modern Gamers that launched their public sale just before Christmas received much hype and attention too. All in all, it's safe to say that NFTs in 2021 were a huge success, and 2022 will probably be much better. Last Monday, the former CEO of Twitter, Jack Dorsey, tweeted, quote-unquote, "You don't own Web3. The VCs and their LPs do. It will never escape their incentives. It's ultimately a centralized entity with a different label. Know what you're getting into." Oh boy, this tweet made a lot of Web3 advocates angry. Particularly Mark Andreessen, who owns Andreessen Horowitz company that heavily invests in Web3 companies, was so mad that he blocked Jack on Twitter. For newbies who don't clearly understand Web3, here's a quick info. Web 1 was the first stage of World Wide Web. The role of the user was to consume information provided by only a few content producers. Web 2 is the read-write web, which allows users to communicate with others. Facebook, Twitter, YouTube are the prime examples. These websites are built around users, and producers enable them to put out content and communicate with each other in exchange for personal information. Without these big tech companies, users can't really share or communicate information with each other. Web3 is more of a decentralized internet where decentralized computer networks and blockchain technology are utilized for data exchange and storage, and users are able to participate in the governance and operations of these protocols. Now let's go back to Jack's tweet and analyze that. According to Jack, venture capitalists and limited partners are the actual owners of Web3 projects, and therefore, individual investors do not have much to say or don't get much profit. According to National Bureau of Economic Research, 0.01% of those who hold Bitcoin control 27% of the digital currency. And Nature also determined that just 10% of the NFT investors completed 85% of all transactions involving them. Does that sound like decentralization? Well, now let me ask you a question. Do you think Web3 is centralized? Let me know your thoughts by sending your comments on our Twitter post. We'll choose one of you to invite to our podcast and talk about Web3. Alright, these are the top selected news brought to you by OKC. Now on to the next part right after a short break. Welcome everyone to the second part of our podcast, and today we have Philip from Cryptoblades. Hi Philip, how are you today?
Hey, good. Yeah, thanks for having me on.
Thanks for being here with us. And let's first talk about Cryptoblades and you. Can you please introduce yourself and the Cryptoblades?
Sure. So I am the CEO of Riveted Games and developer of Cryptoblades. I have been running Riveted Games since 2014, and we were in traditionally, independent or I guess partially mainstream gaming. We have a couple different games on the Steam platform as well as self-published. And we actually started developing in the blockchain space in January of this year when I saw that there was quite a lot of potential with NFTs in ways that were, in my experience, not necessarily being utilized yet. And so I saw it more as a way to store data and progress and even assets behind what people use in video games, much like if you were to have true ownership and transferability of your World of Warcraft character, for example, and not necessarily be subject to having some centralized entity, have full control over that and, prevent you from being able to transfer it. And so that's kind of what got us into experimenting with NFTs to begin with. And then we released Cryptoblades in May of this year, and very quickly started to catch on with the play to earn scene, as our game would allow players to mint NFTs as characters and as weapons, which would grow more powerful over time as you use them, and then earn skill tokens, which is our native token for also for minting the NFTs. And to date, we've had over 1.1 million users. We've given out over $16 million in rewards to our players, and we've minted over 5 million NFTs. And we also are on OKC for the last couple months, and I believe are actually the number 2 DApp on OKC currently. So we're very, very happy with that, and very excited to be working with OKC as well. So that's a little bit more about me and Cryptoblades.
Excellent. Yeah, it is actually nice to have you guys on OKC. What I wanted to ask you about was that when you were experimenting with Cryptoblades, when you realized that NFTs were not being utilized at their full potential, did you see or did you have an idea of where it would lead you to? Or did you have an idea of how big Cryptoblades would become?
No, not at all. So where we came from prior to really kind of exploding onto the scene, I guess, was a fairly small team of independent game developers. All of our projects have been self-published and self-funded. We've worked on commission at times where we would create games with other IPs. But other than that, our games were very much bootstrapped, and when it came to Cryptoblades, that was really no different. So we funded the first development of the MVP in-house. We had a a bit of fundraising through a public sale through a launch pad, but we didn't have any kind of private investment or anything like that. And really the idea that we came up with was very novel and has since been utilized by a number of different play to earn games, where the native token is also what's used to generate the rewards. And then additionally, our main spin and something that really no other game in the play to earn space is doing right now is actually utilizing external revenue to drive the rewards. So much like what the Google Play Store did or the Apple App Store has done, is generate through everything from in-app purchases to ad revenue, right? To make the platform appealing to developers so that they could actually monetize content. And that's something that we're really interested in and that we've been successful at. So, for example, we have a number of different services and utilities that we actually use to put rewards right back into our reward pool for our players. And that's things like our NFT bridge, which brings in revenue for people who want to be moving their assets to any of the 5 chains that we support. We just released a merchandise store where players can actually use their skill tokens as well as what we call unclaimed skill, which is kind of like a skill that you haven't necessarily withdrawn from your account yet. You can utilize that to buy real world physical goods on a merchandise store directly within our application. We have all other kinds of new features coming out all the time, like we have raids and PvP, which again are driving player on-chain usage, as well as in many cases putting rewards back into the reward pool. And then of course all of our NFT sales also go back into our reward pool as well. So you can kind of see the theme here, but it's really kind of a self-regenerating cycle where it's one of the reasons why there's as you may have seen, a lot of play to earn games have kind of come and gone. Some of them really reaching very, very high highs, but then totally imploding. And so this external revenue that we're generating is kind of one of the things that I think has led to us growing so much. And while I didn't necessarily plan on it becoming such a big thing, I'm really happy with where it's gone. And I hope that it can show that play to earn games can be sustainable methods of income, and even be sustainable for people who are trying to make some supplemental income for themselves through this, much like what OKEx has done with the various programs and guilds that they've helped encourage. So yeah, it's really been amazing. And I think, for me, the biggest responsibility with that is kind of how we can continue to create this earning space for our players.
Yeah, absolutely. Keeping the momentum and creating new ways of, earning for players is the key for success and is the key for being successful within play to earn game space. Before we talk about the future, I would like to ask you one more thing about the past, and that would be, what challenges did you go through while developing Cryptoblades?
Sure. Yeah. There's been a lot. It's definitely been a trial by fire for sure. Everything from the challenges of even launching our first token to getting the game on the radar, right? So between April and when we released, which was when we launched our token, and the end of May when we released Cryptoblades, for one, it was just with how many projects are in this space right now. And also without necessarily having kind of that big financial backing, there was a lot of difficulty even with starting and managing a community, because many times that can make or break any project. Is no matter how good the team is or even how technically innovative their product is, if you aren't on top of your community and being transparent and being frequently kind of down there in the trenches with your community as a developer, that can really bite you. And so that was a big learning curve for sure. And it's one of the things that led to me personally being very involved with communicating with the community. So we have over 100,000 people on our Discord. We have about 45,000 on Telegram, and then of course all the different socials. And one thing that really helped was just being there myself in a personal capacity, and just reiterating, for example, what our roadmap is, what our plan is, what our successes have been. And that's been one thing that's really helped to just bolster confidence and also create a positive experience for players when they're coming in and saying, oh, I can actually ask the developers anything I want to know about this game. Next was creating this sustainable reward system. So as I mentioned, we weren't necessarily expecting that we would blow up like we did. So I think by the about 6 weeks into after we had launched the game, we were sitting at about 5,000 players total, and things were going well. But of course, we were kind of in just this place of doing everything we could to get on the radar, because there's so many other games coming up around us, and so many other projects, and it's like where's the next shiny new toy? And given that our project was already released, we didn't necessarily have all of that hype of something like an IDO where we could use that momentum. But we kind of just made some changes, and we started to incorporate better tokenomics. We started to incorporate better gameplay, and it was like a firestorm. I mean, within 2 weeks, we went from 5,000 players to over 500,000 players. And while that was very exciting, and that's what everybody hopes for, it also was part of our kind of initial struggles, because now we had to work on how do we support an economy that has 500,000 players, and how do we even get the technology to be able to support that? We were starting to have all different kinds of third-party APIs that we were utilizing just get totally bogged down. Our development team was getting inundated with kind of putting out fires instead of developing product. And it took some time for us to expand the team. We now have over 30 people involved in a full-time capacity working on Cryptoblades, as well as our other projects, Cryptoblades Kingdoms and our Metaverse project, Omnis. And since then, we were able to finish a lot of the work that we were already in the works of doing, like raids, like our marketplace, like our merchandise store, cosmetics, additional NFT offerings, reworking the reward system. I mean, there's so many things that we were in the process of doing, and the rewards were just not working. The ratios were not working with the amount of players we had and the amount that we needed to pay out. And so that was a very difficult time. And for the past 2 months now, actually, since we've released many of those really important milestones, we now have sustainable rewards across many chains. And in fact, I think OEC is our fastest growing, where, as I mentioned, we're sitting at typically about 3,500 to 4,000 daily active users. I think we've had about 30,000 total users over the past month, and it's really been growing steadily. And as far as the rewards go, all of that is driven externally. So we're actually at kind of a net inflow as far as the amount of rewards that we're able to pay out to players. And so that's one of the reasons why, just through having consistent gameplay and low fee transactions and fast transactions, it's been a huge boon to our player base. So we've actually had, quite a lot of players jump in since then onto OEC specifically. But yeah, I would say just creating that sustainable reward system, kind of doing it live, like it's not like we necessarily built this whole big plan and then we're able to implement it. It took time, and thankfully a lot of our player base was patient with us through that, and many of them, just maintained ownership of their NFTs. And now that things are back into a stable place, they are earning consistently every day, and happy with that. So naturally we're happy with that.
Excellent. And yeah, as you said, adaptation is is really important, because once you have, let's say you have a roadmap, but still sometimes, as you said, few things change very rapidly. One day you have 5,000 players playing, and next day you have 500,000 players, and you're like, okay, how do I keep it going? So yeah, adaptation is really important, and I think you guys have done really good job on adapting your strategies and listening to what your players say and making the necessary changes. Let's talk about 2022. What have you guys planned for 2022?
Sure. Yeah, we have some really major plans. Obviously, with Cryptoblades as it stands, we have a number of things on our roadmap that we're just now wrapping up. So our PvP system, which is a brand new kind of player wagering system, which we're building an esports platform around, is going to be released in early 2022. So we're very excited about that. And the system, I think, is one that is innovative in the sense that it allows our players to earn consistently through wagering with each other. And it actually takes some of the strain off of our rewards system that we use to power the kind of daily player rewards. And so the nice thing about it is in Cryptoblades, players have a certain amount of stamina that they can use every day in order to do combat and to earn. And with PvP, we don't have to have any kind of cap. We can have people who can just jump into the arena and stay in there earning all day long. And so we're really excited to see how that plays out. And we have leaderboards set up for it. We have prize pools set up every week. And I think it's going to be a major earning opportunity and a real game changer for vanilla Cryptoblades. With Cryptoblades Kingdoms, that's actually an additional game within the Cryptoblades franchise. So it is kind of a sister product to the original Cryptoblades in that it is a kingdom management game, much like Tribal Wars is one good example, where you'll be able to play it directly from your browser, but you'll have some truly amazing AAA graphics. We're working with Bolmi Games, who is an industry veteran in AAA graphics. We also have our amazing front-end development team who's creating this whole kingdom management style with this really beautiful interface. We have a trailer that's going to be dropping very soon, which I'll make sure to send over to you guys. And we expect to be releasing parts of that, like, for example, our building module very soon, which is going to allow players to stake land and actually earn some king token rewards, as well as be able to unlock different buildings that they'll be able to have and use when Cryptoblades Kingdoms is released. And then finally, we have Omnis, which is our Metaverse project. And this is also driven by the King token and also driven by our land NFTs, which we just finished a major land NFT sale. And in Omnis, anyone who is a landowner will actually be able to hook up their land to any existing blockchain APIs, as well as any existing NFTs that follow a standard that we're putting out, and transform their NFTs into interactive 3D models that they can experience in a really immersive and also blockchain connected world. And this will be entirely governed by the landowners, and it'll be entirely governed by King token owners. And we're again working with some huge names in the AAA gaming space, one of which is Improbable.io. They do the server infrastructure for many of the games that people are playing in traditional gaming right now. We're working with Bolmi Games for the 3D assets, as well as HoloLoot, which is a new project that has entered into what we call our Knighthood program, which is our incubation program. We're very excited about the work that they're doing in the 3D and augmented reality space. And we also have a truly amazing trailer coming out in a few months that we're working with from The Mill, which is creating some amazing cinematic and CGI experiences for people. And we're really hopeful that that will be able to kind of tell the story of the sort of scale that we're looking for with Omnis. So all that's going to be coming in 2022. And it's sometimes it's a lot to kind of be working on so many things at one time, but we're just very excited about what we're building. And we know that it's going to be a real game changer. So it should be some fun stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I see big plans. I mean, for 2022, you have planned a few big things, and that kind of makes me excited, and it kind of makes me want to play the game and experience those new things that are coming out from you guys, from Cryptoblades. Well, one thing that got my attention is the Metaverse project. So let's talk more about that. First of all, why did you come up with this idea of creating a metaverse? And secondly, what do you think you are going to achieve?
Yeah, sure. So this project kind of transpired even before the original Cryptoblades was released. One of our main ideas and thoughts was, how do we take a game which is entirely layer one and create an immersive 3D experience from that? Because as you may know or may not know, it's really difficult to keep all of the things that are involved with a 3D game within the blockchain, because, for example, it will cost gas every time you need to update the coordinates of a character, let alone, that you're using a skill or a spell or that you're attacking. Every single thing that you're interacting with the blockchain on requires gas and transactions, which also take time and can slow down that immersive experience. And so our thought was, well, if we're having this problem, I bet you that a lot of other people are having this problem too. And our thought was, well, if we can either create something for ourselves and create, then a really amazing Cryptoblades 3D experience that is essentially a layer two that kind of rolls up, a lot of those functions and that data into something that can then be sent over to the layer one in chunks. But again, we're solving kind of a lot of different problems here. And the thought came, well, if we're going to do that, why don't we just follow this same, roadmap that we've been doing, which is open sourcing it, getting input and feedback and adoption from the broader blockchain community, and see what happens. And so, thankfully, due to a lot of support that we've received from some of the biggest names in the crypto space, we are able to create essentially the building blocks for this 3D immersive blockchain experience, and not only use that for ourselves, but create it in such a way that anybody can follow a standard with their existing blockchain protocol, game, you name it, and hook that into Omnis using certain triggers. So for example, in our case, we can have players running around within Omnis, fighting monsters in real time and earning rewards within Omnis. And when you defeat an enemy, that will then get sent out to the smart chain, which will again give you your skill tokens as a reward. But it can also give you some Omnis specific benefits too, like whether it's cosmetic or whether it's power based, which again we can have rolled up, sent to the layer one, adding additional functionality, while also keeping some of the functionality within Omnis so that it's still cheap and fast and just an overall fun experience. Because in my mind, the metaverse is really a place for you to experience things that you already have some ownership of, but in a better or in a more full way. And especially when it comes to browser-based blockchain games, anything that you do within that kind of 3D experience, I think is a huge bonus, even if not all of it is going to be pushed out to the blockchain, because what we have in mind is that some of the things may just simply reside in Omnis, and with the knowledge for as far as players go, that if they want to export it, they could pay some gas fee and they could port that out in chunks. But of course, if Omnis were to somehow be owned specifically by us, then that puts additional strain on the system, and it means that we're the only ones supporting it. And so the idea there is that we're actually going to allow other projects to be incorporating their changes and their updates into Omnis as well. And it really becomes a true metaverse at that time, because it's not something that's centralized. It's decentralized in nature, and thus is safe from a lot of the downfalls of centralized systems of this day. So that's kind of the vision for Omnis is to not only create that really awesome 3D immersive experience for us, but allow other projects to take advantage of that technology as well.
Great. Your focus of, giving the most immersive experience to the players, to your community, as well as you want to help other projects come to your metaverse and experience that as well, is astonishing, to be honest. And I can feel that you are paying a lot more attention to your communities and to your players. So I wanted to ask if you guys ever have planned, or if you're planning a real life event for your community.
That's a great question. So I think it kind of goes in two parts, in the sense of yes, we are planning real life events, most of which will actually reside in the metaverse. So it's funny that we kind of have this idea that that real life is just a kind of in the physical world, and in another way, Omnis, even for example, is a way to make those experiences more real, because instead of chatting on Discord and only ever being able to communicate through writing text and reading text, the hope is that we can have a much more immersive experience within Omnis, where even there's spatial audio is one of the ideas of Omnis, so that you can actually hear people that are around you and in your near vicinity and be talking with them. And we're actually working with a company to develop that technology. And it's one of the ways I think too that it allows us in this new space where even being around other people is now kind of considered dangerous, or the fact that someone that you have spoken with or talked with or worked with or been friends with through gaming, et cetera, for many years is geographically not anywhere near you. All of those things, I think, are more reasons that we need more kind of immersive ways to be able to just interact and socialize. So there is that aspect where I do see even digital metaverses as being quote unquote real life. And that being said, as far as hosting events that are kind of person to person, it's something that we would absolutely love to do. Right now, one of the things that we're focusing on, just as on a high level with our founding team, is just getting involved in some of the existing events that are out there already, some of the NFT expos or crypto expos, and putting Cryptoblades on the map on kind of some main stages. And then from there, as far as having events for our own community, we definitely have the size. We have a lot of dedicated players, and I think one of the ways we're kind of delving into the physical world, I guess you could say, is with even something as simple as our merchandise shop, where right now we're trying to see what kind of crossover is there that people are willing to take when it comes to Cryptoblades, and I think that it's a good measurement of that, I guess, in a sense, of releasing a merchandise shop where people can actually trade their skill tokens and get a shirt, or even a canvas that they can put on their wall, or something as simple like a mouse pad or a mug, and just kind of gauging at what level are people willing to incorporate Cryptoblades into their daily lives. And so I think it's just a stepping stone, I guess you could say, towards maybe expecting people to even fly out to an event where we would host a kind of Cryptoblades only sort of thing. But in the meantime, we'll definitely keep people informed as far as any kind of exhibits or conventions that we might attend ourselves, because I think it would be really wonderful to be able to meet some of our players in person.
Yeah, absolutely. If you ever plan to attend or to create or host certain event, I'm sure there will be a lot of Cryptoblades players and community joining and seeing. I wanted to continue, but we don't have enough time, and that's why I wanted to ask my last question, and that would be, is there anything that you want to tell to your community, to your listeners, that you think they should absolutely know?
Yeah, absolutely. What I would say is fasten your seatbelts because we have some, as I mentioned, some really major things coming up on a lot of different fronts. A lot of the things that we've been working on that those who are very involved in our community are already aware of, like our different services that we now offer with NFT bridging, with merchandise, et cetera. Definitely expect to start seeing those pop up on other projects' radars, because what we want to be doing is kind of creating these services, but then again offering them to other projects. And again, these are just to put Cryptoblades on the map and create some additional partnerships. But then one last thing is with our multi-farm, we have secured some huge names that are going to be contributing to our multi-farm, which means more rewards for our players and all different kinds of tokens. And I think this is a system that's going to be a real game changer for play to earn. And we've already released it for projects like Crypto Meta and Project Oasis. Expect to start seeing some multi-farm projects on OEC in the very near future. And I think this is probably one of the most exciting things if you're a skill token holder or a Cryptoblades player, because it means more rewards are coming your way.
Awesome, guys. Awesome. I can't wait to see you guys succeed and become a huge GameFi project where it really makes exciting to play the game and at the same time earn pretty good money. Thanks for taking the time and talk to us.
Yeah, thanks a lot. And thanks for having me on. I hope we can do it again soon.
To learn more about Cryptoblades, check out the show notes of this episode. Thanks for listening. Stay safe.